Welcome back. You're on Friday Double Bill. We're discussing the major Hollywood release of this weekend. That's Richard Linklater's Boyhood.
Filmed over 12 years with the same cast, Richard Linklater's Boyhood is a groundbreaking coming-of-age movie seen through the eyes of a young boy named Mason. In a breakthrough performance by Ella Coltrane, Mason literally grows up on screen before our eyes. Starring Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette as Mason's parents and Laurelie Linklater as his sister Samantha, Boyhood charts the rocky terrain of childhood like no other film has before. Snapshots of adolescence from road trips and family dinners to birthdays and graduations and all the moments in between become transcendent. Boyhood is both a nostalgic time capsule of the recent past and an ode to growing up and parenting.
Who do you want to be, Mason? What do you want to do?
Well, I think this classifies as a masterpiece. And I'm just saying that right away, even before we get onto the verdict, for two reasons. One is I watched this film right after Interstellar. Now, Interstellar is masterpiece of another kind, where you're going through an experience, a very cinematic experience. This is a film where you're going through a very, very hardcore emotional experience. It's the kind that, very hard to find on the celluloid. You find a lot of it on television, actually. I remember when we were watching Wonder Years as a kid, we had the same feeling about a boy growing up, and I used to be the same age at that time. So, there was a direct resonance. But I was thinking that, if we are in that space of Interstellar, if we are in another planet, and if we have to leave one DVD behind for the aliens to know exactly what life, at least in America, or middle-class life in America is, it would be Boyhood, because you'll just know exactly what's going on planet Earth right now.
Absolutely, Mayank. I mean, it's wonderful that after talking about, a film like Shawkeen's, we can talk about in the same breath a film like this, because this is just masterful filmmaking. And look at the commitment of this man, Richard Linklater. His masterpiece trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and then Before Midnight, was shot over an 18-year period. This film, he shot 3 to 4 days every year over a period of 12 years and put together 12 short films to make this one seamless film. And to see this boy actually growing up before your eyes, I mean, what an extraordinary, fortunate piece of casting that he chose this boy who's just the cutest kid at the age of 7, grows into this geeky teenager, as they all do, and then becomes this brooding, he truly is the young Ethan Hawke. I mean, you see Ethan Hawke from Before Sunrise and you realize this kid is going there at the age of 17, 18. He's come into his own, he's a ruminating powerhouse performance. It's all about nuance, it's about understatement, a couple of scenes of melodrama, and even, not even that. It's just such a masterpiece. I'm so glad you said it up front, because what is there to say?
Right. No, I agree with you in the sense of Ethan Hawke actually being Richard Linklater's alter ego. You get a sense also in the way, that he gets the best lines in this movie, as with other movies, of course. So at some point, I genuinely felt that they were moving towards a prequel to Before Sunrise, purely because, I mean, of course, he's a photographer, the lead character, rather than being a writer in this film. But if you just see all those three films, and then you take this movie, I think there is a body of work we're looking at that really defines our times in its own way, and nobody films it. I think nobody films it better than Linklater does. I think the first time I saw a Linklater film was Tape. That's a 2001 film, also starring Ethan Hawke, that had Uma Thurman, just set in one room, and I realized, what the hell is this? And I think since then, I've been asking the same question.
No, and the fact, as you said, I mean, these are, kindred spirits. Ethan Hawke and Linklater grew up in Austin, Texas. Their fathers were insurance salesmen, and this is exactly what this rocker Ethan Hawke, eventually does. He marries into a Bible thumping family. He becomes an insurance salesman. This is it.
This is a musician, right?
The absolute sort of the small tragedies of life, the disappointments, the heartache, the heartbreak. This is really what life is all about. And the film ends on a sunrise and the hope of a new tomorrow. Beautiful.
Well, getting on to the crazy or the OMG moments from this film, the first one is pretty obvious. Anybody who's walking to the theater to watch this movie will know that, hey, these guys are aging as we watch the film. They are not new characters being developed. There are no new actors being brought on for later ages. I mean, that in itself is the sort of commitment as you spoke of to its maximum. But let's not turn into fanboys here. I think it's a great film. It's almost a masterpiece. In fact, it is a masterpiece according to us. But it's not a perfect film. And I think one thing that I might want to pinpoint is the character of the fathers in the movie, the parade of drunkards that we see throughout the picture. The first father, of course, the biological father of the boy, that's Ethan Hawke, who is the greatest man on planet Earth, because that's Richard Linklater. But the others, I thought, were not treated with the same compassion as you would expect in a movie that is otherwise so empathetic to everything that's going on here.
Well, I disagree, because on the face of it, both these men that Patricia Arquette's character ends up marrying seem like perfect marriage material. The first one is a war veteran, the other one's a college professor. One lapses into alcoholism, the other one has control issues and frustration of having come
and
back.
Alcoholism.
But
right.
The fact is that this is it, and I think it reflects so poignantly on the mother, the fact that she is doomed all her life. Though she can improve herself and get a master's in psychology and all of that, she is doomed to fall for the wrong men. And God knows there must be lots of women out there who must be empathizing completely to where do they find the great guy. As far as the OMG moment for me is concerned, it's that really poignant scene where he's about 15-year-old, the boy, and his father has sold his classic car, to which the boy has idolized all his life and had been promised at the age of 3 that when he turns 16, he will be gifted that car. And the father has now remarried, has a new child, has sold that car for a profit and bought a minivan because, that's the pragmatic thing to do. This man, the musician, has sold out. He's become an insurance salesman. And the fact that this boy is shattered. But it's a very, for that moment, it's fleeting and heartbreaking. And I think this is really where, as Mayank said, it is a flawed film, but hey, it's a masterpiece.
Well, the rhythm, the beat in this film, Fahad, is just so real that it seems like you actually entered somebody's home. I think screenwriting by itself reaches levels of a novel, of literary fiction in a movie like this. And very rarely do you come across a film that deeply captures your emotions, captures the times we live in. And this is clearly one of those films. It has to be watched. Now the question in a verdict is watched where? Watched on TV, watched on DVD, watched in a theater. I think it should be watched again and again. I don't care where. So it's a bar dekho for Boyhood from my side.
Well, obviously bar dekho. It's 3 hours long. So yes, you can stagger your viewing of this over the years. I would suggest watch it this weekend itself in the theaters, then go out and immediately borrow the DVDs of the Sunrise, Sunset and Midnight trilogy of Linklater and do a binge viewing of that. Let this weekend be about Linklater and great filmmaking.
Well, that brings us to the end of Friday Double Bill. We were waxing eloquent on this great super film that we watched this weekend. That's of course Boyhood, but that's not all that there was going on so far as movies are concerned. We picked one similar masterpiece, okay, not so similar masterpiece, whose trailer is out, the movie called Tevar. That's what we're leaving you with. See you next weekend. Hope you have great fun at the movies.
And don't forget, this is a film that has got Boney Kapoor's son. It's produced by Sanjay Kapoor. Nepotism rules in Bollywood. Have fun at the movies.
और तो क्या ना इज्जत किया कर,
मैं वरना तेरी गोलियां फोड़ दूंगा और बंदूक तोड़ दूंगा।